Hey guys, it's Jason here from the Omni Sales team, and in today's video, we're going to take you through some basic concepts and basic principles of things that you need to know in new home construction. So if you've just got into the industry and you're like, oh my God, what are all these things that are coming to me? What's this information that I have to deal with? This particular video is going to break down a high level of what they are. So I'm not going to go really deep into each one. I'm just going to give an overview, and then I'll make separate videos that go really detailed into it. So the first thing we need to understand is, what is a disclosure plan? Disclosure plans are simple, guys. When a developer develops a bunch of land, before they develop the land, they kind of have to plan what the lands are going to look like. And a disclosure plan is what they plan or what they draft the land is going to look like at the end. So when you're buying land, because you're buying land that doesn't exist yet, you're kind of buying land off the plan. So a disclosure plan is what the land is before they've developed the land, and you can get an understanding of what you're buying before it's been created. So if we think about apartment complexes that are new, and you buy into a new apartment complex, you're buying that apartment off the plan. A disclosure plan is buying land off the plan. It's the same thing. Now, a high level of what a disclosure plan is going to show us. It's going to show us a bunch of information, but the core things to understand, for this video's sense at least, is that it's going to show you the direction of north, and it'll usually have an arrow or some sort of end pointed to a particular direction. That's going to be our north aspect. The reason that's important is that helps us discuss with the client the solar orientation, cross ventilation through the home. It helps for us to discuss that with the client. But it's going to show a north. It's going to show you, by having a north, you're going to be able to discuss with the client where the sun rises and falls, where it's going to be really sunny, where it's going to be darker, etc. The second thing you'll notice on disclosure plans is usually there's a big black box. You'll be able to see it over here. I've put it on the screen. There's a big black box, and there's little numbers that are around that box. So if we're just taking a rectangular block of land, there's going to be a frontage. It'll usually be something like 12.5, and there'll be a length, maybe 30. If you times the 12.5 by the 30, that's going to give you the total area of whatever block of land that you're buying. So length times width. Now, for most people, that's mostly where the end of their understanding of disclosure plans come. Like when you talk to a client, they don't really understand much more past they have a north-facing block or a south-facing block, and their frontage is 12.5 and 30. The other things that a disclosure plan is usually going to show us, it's going to show us if there's any retaining walls on their land. So you'll see that there's like little boxes that go along the boundaries. They're important to understand because then you can discuss with clients if the land next to them is going to be lower or higher, and those retaining walls sort of show you that. So it's a very important thing to note. Disclosure plans also show us something called the contours. So this is where we're starting to get into a little bit more knowledge, and this helps the builder understand if there's going to be cut and fill needed. So a high level of what a contour is that the contour is essentially the block of land's height above sea level. So I'm going to use a word with you. It's AHD, Australian Height Datum. The AHD, or the contour height, which is the little numbers you see drawn across your block of land, that is how high the land is above natural sea level, or above the agreed sea level height. So if you're selling in, say, a higher area or an area up in the mountains, it could read 123. If you're selling down by the coast, it could read 4 or 10. My point is, the contours show what kind of slope is on your land. In future videos, when I go over disclosure plans in detail, I'll break that down. But for your knowledge to start off, understand a disclosure plan shows us our northern direction. It shows like true north and what way your land's facing. It shows us how wide the block is, how long the block is, what the total square meter, and generally it'll show us if there's retaining walls, plus any slope on your land or any contours to see how high it is. They're the most common things. There's a bunch of other things disclosure plans will show you as well, and we'll get into that into a future video. But that's the disclosure plan. Number 2 is what we call a plan of development. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video, but every day people are reaching out asking, Jason, how can we do sales training with you? So if you're in new home construction, if you've just started, if you're a seasoned pro, even if you're the #1 sales consultant at your company, every single one of us need a coach to get to that next level. So if that sounds like someone like you, click on the link in the description right now. It's going to ask for your name, your number, and a simple opt-in message to say I can give you a call. But if you want to skip past that entirely, simply text the number on the screen right now, 0427 915 668. Just text me a question, guys, and I'll jump on a call and have a chat with you right now. But guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. Let's get back to it. So usually when you buy into an estate, they've not only just got your block of land or the client's block of land, they've got all the blocks of land. And they sort of show you on a plan of development, which is a POD, how those lands link together. So if you're buying block 307, 3010 is up here, or 3010 is up here, the street going along, and you can sort of get an idea of what the estate's going to look like through a plan of development. Now, some developers do that via just like a printed out brochure that sort of shows blocks of land without any heights or any services or anything like that. That's like a visual aid of what a plan of development. Other developers will have like a whole sheet that'll have every block in their estate where services are running and all sorts of stuff. The plan of development essentially is what the developer gets approved through council to be able to subdivide the land the way they're subdividing it. So when you get into the full plan of development, it'll show full service, electricity, sewer lines, water lines. It'll show road heights. It'll show everything. But what you'll normally get from the client is going to be a watered down version to sort of show how the estate is situated. The third thing you're going to get is what's called a building setback plan. This bit of information is vital. From a disclosure plan, when the developer goes to council to say, hey, we want to create 100 blocks on this hectare land or whatever, we want to create these 100 blocks, the standard regulations that council have from how far you have to be from a boundary, from a side, from a front, from a rear, there's certain rules and regulations, and those can be looked up on council websites, they can be looked up on state websites. There's a bunch of resources you can go and find to understand what the building setbacks are. And a building setback is essentially just how far your building has to be from fence lines or from boundaries. So the developers will normally, because they want to create smaller land, they'll usually get blanket relaxations to allow those boundaries to be closer than what the council would normally let. So when we're picking a house for their block of land, we must take their disclosure plan to see how big their land is, then add the building setbacks onto it, and that's going to create a smaller box in their block of land. And as long as your house sits within that box, the house can be built as per the building setback plan. So when a client goes to a land agent, they're going to get these bits of information. Now, there's obviously more bits of information. The next one we want to talk about is number 4. This is called a covenant. So what is a covenant? A covenant is a set of rules or restrictions that have to be built on that block of land. So when they buy the block of land, because the estate wants to sell that land for a premium, they create rules and restrictions, and they create these rules and restrictions so everyone builds their home at a certain level. So when you get a covenant, in addition to the disclosure plan and the building setbacks, you might be able to fit that home, but the covenant then might say you need to have an extended porch, you need to have an alfresco, or you need to have something else on the land to be able to build that home on that block of land in that estate. We have a whole separate video that we've done on covenants, and you'll see that. That'll break it down even further. But understand that this is going to be something that people bring in. Now, on top of all of that, what else can you get when you're buying a block of land? 5, it's going to be bushfire. 6, flood map. 7, compaction certificate. 8, mining. Sweet. So some other things you might get are going to be bushfire plans. So when the developer is building close to bushland, there's obviously, if that bushland was to catch on fire, there's going to be a certain radius near that fire that's going to require extra construction methods or extra construction safety so that the home isn't going to burn down or the home isn't going to be damaged as a result of a bushfire. So they might have a bushfire plan that you have to follow. Understand the bushfire plans are broken up into barrel low, 12.5, 19, 29, 40, and flame zone. In a separate video, we'll break that down further. You might get what's called a flood map. So if you're building near a flood area or the developer's been built into a flood area, there could be certain restrictions on how high or how high off the ground you have to build that block of land. Now in Queensland, they don't really allow you to develop homes in flood zones anymore, but in other states they might. And if the estate has a flood map, it's important to see. Compaction certificates. When the developer is developing the land, they're doing all their cut and fill, they're doing all that earthworks. If they bring fill onto someone's land, they have to compact that down back to the level of what natural ground's going to be. Because if they don't, then the builder's going to have to put extra reinforcements to make sure the home is going to be stable on that land. So you're going to get a compaction certificate. Number 8, mining reports. There could have been mining that was on that land previously. So there's going to be items, there's going to be like a report or an engineer's report about mines that might be underground. So guys, these are just simple things to know. So if we've gone on this video and you don't understand one or you want more information about one, there's going to be other videos we make to it. But if you want to get that now, guys, just text that number on the screen right now, 0427 915 668. I'll jump on a call with you. We can have a bit of a chat about what gaps of knowledge you have, and then have a chat to you about if you need any other help with this kind of stuff. But as always, guys, if you could leave a like, if you could drop a comment about what you found good about this video, that'll obviously help us out. But again, These are just the basic items that we have to understand to start with when we get into new home construction. There's going to be further videos and we're going to go deeper into it, but at this stage, this is what we need. If you've just started with a salesperson or you've just started with a friend, feel free to send in this video as well, because these are important things you need to understand about land before you start advising clients about what kind of home can be built on that land. So always, guys, we love you. We'll see you on the next